noticed. Yes, it's easy to write checks and just add some servers in, but trust me when I tell you, there are hundreds of thousands of lines of code behind the site that make that site work. And this is the guy who is front and center 24/7 managing that effort. And again, please, warm welcome for Matt Brass.
Sorry, Scott, I know you could run the computer.
Brutal.
Don't touch anything.
Part of the reason that I like the program is that I like puzzles, and let me tell you that this website right now is one of the most challenging puzzles I've ever come across. Okay, it's a wonderful site. Ron did great things, and over the last 5 years, it has been just continually added to, and people add to it all over. And there's a little bit of comments throughout, but in trying to figure out how the site worked, it's taken a little time. It's taken me a couple months. One of the first things we decided, which didn't take a whole lot of skill or thought, was that it seemed kind of slow. Register a book, 5-10 minutes. I mean, you could go read another book while you register. So we implemented new servers. We sat down, we talked to different hosting companies, and we said, okay, we are going to throw hardware at the solution first, okay, to get all of our members up and running, get the site performance back, and then once the dust is settled, which over the past few weeks there has been some dust, there's been email issues and all those kind of things, but once the dust settles, then we can start moving forward with some of the other things that we want to do. My goal, somebody gave me this t-shirt this morning, which is great, but my goal is that you don't see this ever again.
Now, read it to us.
Over bother. All right? So, I'll try not to go too much geek speak, but when we look at our performance logs, we have these things called requests queued. And when you make a request to the site, when you request a page, if the server's too busy or too slow, it throws it into a queue in the web server, and those queues start to build up, and so it's chunking away trying to get to your page next, and that's why you'd see long waits. The average that we were seeing on our old server was over 200 at any given time. That was with only a few hundred users at a time. It can go up. When we saw a spike a few weeks ago, great timing. The week before we transferred to our new servers, we get mentioned on a blog, and we get 35,000 people come to the site a day, and it brought it down. But the request queue was up to 600, and I was constantly having to reboot the web server all throughout the day just to keep it going. Since we've transferred over, requests queued on average for a day is 1, and at any given time is 0. So it's gone way down. Performance, again, more than doubled. Feature enhancements, I'm going to show a couple, and some of you are already familiar with this first one. All right, this first one met with a mixed release. Mixed reviews, mostly because we took away your bookmark, which I realize now. But the reason that I like this so much is I'm a big fan of Google Maps, and I always have been. And I love to see, this has been showing up a lot. One thing I love to see is I'd love to see it slide across the world, because this is showing what an amazing population, how these books really are everywhere. And I finally got the UK to work like 2 days before I got here. The way that the UK controls their postal codes, it makes it really tough to find the geocoding, but it finally does. UK will now show up on the map. But this is great. This shows the global community of BookCrossing extremely well. This is what we're working on next. And this is hopefully going to be done very soon. For each individual book that you put on the site, we've geocoded about 45,000 as of this morning locations that people release books at. And we're just going by release date right now. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to say when you bring up a book, it's going to show you the map of where that book has been all throughout the world. You'll be able to click on this, And again, like the map before, it shows you the book, and then it also shows you the user information, kind of two tabs. So we haven't gotten the layout completely done, but that's the idea, is you can follow an individual book where it's been all throughout the world. This is a new feature, and what we're trying to do is, like I said, we're getting the site up, we're getting it running, and now that it's getting stable, we kind of throw these things into 3 camps. Number 1 is, what are bugs or features that you guys have seen for a long time that haven't been addressed? And we're trying to address those, we're trying to get to them quickly, and we're trying to get them done, but anything that takes too long, we're pushing out to what we call kind of our site redesign, but more architecture change. I am a huge proponent of efficiency. I want this site to scream, I want it to scale, and I want it to be able to last as the membership grows. You're not going to see the performance hits. So for the support team, when there is an error on the site, it logs it to the back end so that we know exactly what the error is. Localization, a drop-down style menu where you choose your language, and then it comes up and you have your support for the language. All these kind of things can't take place well without taking a tremendous amount of time in the current architecture. So we're looking at an architecture upgrade, and that's one of the things that I've been designing out the last couple months. And then the last thing is implementing new features that, like this. Okay, and so we're kind of breaking those into 3 categories. One of the ones hopefully that will launch in the next few days, and I've heard a lot about this as well, is there seems to be a little problem with your shortcut list. Okay. Those of you who have 250 or more, you know, the A's come first, and what if you release constantly in a Y zone? You have to go look through this huge, enormous list. So, what the feature is going to do is you're just going to go to this Manage Your Shortcuts. And
Standing ovation, Matt.
Standing ovation.
I know that these aren't live yet either. This is on the test, kind of a sandbox site. So you can't go use this yet, but you wouldn't want to. It's still in beta. Okay, but this is going to be, we're working on layout design. Support team's going to help me with wording and things like that later. But all you're going to have to do is you're going to come down here and you select your country. Okay, automatic states load. You then select your state, then your cities. And then by city, all the locations in the city come up. Okay. So then, once the city locations come up, it's a longer page, you just select where you want to, you select one of the zones, click select location, it automatically adds it to your sort list. Your shortcut list can then be sorted, you can delete from it, then when you finally click save, this is what will show up on your shortcut list when you go to the release page. And lastly, this is more for regional managers, but right now our zones are not very well marked. Okay, street address, postal codes don't exist. We go basically by city, city, state, postal, or city, state, country, that kind of thing. And so right now, when we track our books and we're mapping our books and when we're looking for books, we can get about as close as a city. But what I want to be able to do is get to a street address, get to the top of a mountain. Wherever you're releasing these things, I want it to be somewhat pinpointed and give the regional managers the ability to fix these zones that are just kind of all over the place right now. So this is more of a regional and admin tool, but giving you the ability to just come down here and find the location. You just double click on it. It centers the map. You click on find and it automatically puts in the latitude and longitude coordinates. You can enter the street address and postal code if you want, but now we've got the ability, we have actually clean data for all these locations. So these are just some of the things, and we could go over the list that we talked about last night, and I think Scott's going to cover some of those already later, but basically what it is that we are listening.